So I think recording will start soon. Great. So now I'll open my first presentation. Okay, and here we go. So let me just enlarge it a little bit for you. So, Joseph, can you confirm if the slides are visible for you right now?
Yes, yes, it
They
is.
are visible. Okay, so we're
Yeah.
making recording for you and for other students who are not online right now. So you guys can, of course, just listen to my presentation, which I will upload in our folder later. Okay,
Okay.
so until we start my presentation, let me be clear with you. So we will have the lecture every single Friday at 6 p.m. and the duration of that will last about 1 hour. Okay, maximum 1 hour. And
Okay.
sometimes, in order to make our lecture or seminar more, let's say, dynamic, I will also ask you questions about the previous topic. So, for example, next Friday, I will have some questions to you, which will be based on the first lecture. So that's why I will ask you to please read the material. And in this case, our PPTs will be enough because I have put everything here. So if you read my PowerPoint slides, it will be fairly enough for you. So the first presentation, the first lecture, is about general nutritionology, nutrition study, and I'll be talking about the different classes of nutrients. I will talk about the evaluation, assessing of nutritional status. So, how I, as the clinician, should assess your, as the patient, nutritional status when you come to me. Yeah. And at last, just really briefly, I'll talk about the general recommendation. So, that will be our first lecture.
Okay.
Let's start. So I'm sure that everybody knows what the clinical nutrition is, but the word itself, nutrition, means it is one of the most basic human needs, which we need like throughout the whole lifespan. So I would say this is the most important because everything which happens in our body, biochemical reactions, heartbeat, respiratory rate, metabolism, everything is depends on nutrition. Somebody is in. So hello. We have just started our presentation, so I don't really see who is in, but the screen is shared, and we are doing the first presentation. So, why do you think you need this subject? That's my question to you. What do you think? You will need this subject more theoretically or practically, or what do you think about this?
I think practically.
More practical with your patients, yeah, maybe.
Yes, yes,
Because you will be working in rehabilitation, and
yes,
rehabilitation is not just physical issues. Yeah, it depends
yes,
on healthy nutrition after traumas or different surgeries. So of
yes.
course it really matters. Okay, thank you. Um, so the role of nutrition, as I told you, is quite diverse. Everything which happens in our body depends on nutrition, healthy nutrition. So, physical, mental, sexual growth, and homeostasis, which is maintenance of internal balance in our body, the reproduction, maturity, of course, kilocalories and energy is depending on nutrition. Lactation, even pregnancy, yeah, is really firmly related to nutrition. I would say that well-being also depends. So when we eat some, like let's say, mm, uh, when we eat the tasty food, it makes us feel good. Yeah, so we need nutrition not just for physical well-being, but psychological well-being as well. Yeah. True. So unfortunately, this happens to be when we eat junk food. Yeah, but when you eat healthy food, unfortunately, there is less chance that your hormones of happiness will be secreted. Yeah, so that's not nice thing about this, but. Healthy nutrition is, of course, way much better still. Nevertheless, it does not help you to secrete your hormones of happiness. So our food choices depends on different factors. Yeah. So that can be social factors, that can be ethnic factors, so personal preference, emotional comfort. For example, when we feel sad, we probably want to eat some sweets, yeah, or the food which is cooked by our mothers or anything like that. Also, there is specific food which is just eaten in specific countries. Yeah. For example, couscous is only most likely eaten in African countries, in Asian countries. Of course, we can meet this couscous elsewhere, but what I try to tell you is that different products are more popular in different countries. Yeah. As Joseph told me he's from Nigeria. Yeah. So I see that some people have also been joined. And please mute your microphone because we hear not really nice voices in background. Thank you. So when you try to tell us something, you can unmute that in that moment. So now my question to you is following. So please tell me the countries you come from. So I come from Georgia. I know that Joseph comes from uh, Nigeria. What about others? I'm talking to myself, or okay. So what about others? If I see that some other people have also joined Edison, for example, can you tell me the country you come from? You hear my voice. Hello. Joseph, are you with me?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I
And
am.
what about Elvis? I or no, Edison. Edison, sorry. I think he's not with us, but he's still online. Okay, so the reason I asked you the countries you come from was following last season when I had nutrition studies. I had students from different countries, and they used hello. They used to make presentations about their country, so their country's cuisine. So maybe we can do the same this time as well to make online seminars more dynamic and interesting. So one day I can make the presentation about Georgian cuisine because nutrition is really related to cuisine really well. Okay, so this is the particles which our body consists of: atoms, molecules, cells, organs, organic system. Each of these particles needs healthy nutrition. Um, there are some technical no voices. Avoid. Please avoid that. You can mute sometimes in order to avoid some technical voices. Okay. Six classes of nutrients. Yeah. So which one are familiar to you in this case? So which one do you know? Do you know? I'm
I
sure.
think
Yeah.
all of them. I think
All of them are familiar to you,
yes,
right?
yes.
So you see macro and micronutrients here. We have carbohydrate, fats, proteins as macronutrients, and vitamins and minerals as micronutrients. Probably you know the difference, maybe. So if you know the difference between these two micro and macronutrients, you can let me know. So do you know What is the major difference between these two types of nutrients? Or maybe shall I tell you? I would say that carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, they are macronutrients, they are bigger in size, and they can yield energy, kilocalories, while vitamins and minerals, they cannot give us energy. That's the most important difference between macro and micronutrients. Okay, I'll be repeating. Carbs, fats, and proteins, they are macronutrients, while vitamins and minerals, they are micronutrients. Okay, and water is again a third type of nutrient, absolutely different from these two. So if we take, let's say, average sized person, let's take, the slide tells that 60, 70 kilogram body. In this case, we have to imagine that 40 grams, I mean, about half of that is occupied by water. So you probably understand that water really has huge, it occupies really huge part of our body composition when it's just 10, 12 kilograms of fat. So now I'm talking about slim, average sized person. So with this slide, I want you to see how big portion the of the body is occupied by water. Okay, and just little 10, 15 kilograms of body composition is occupied by proteins, carbs. Again, I'm not talking about the person who works out in gym. So the one who works out in gym, in this case, protein is like has much more occupancy in body composition. Okay, next thing is about the chemical composition of nutrients. Please remember that hydrogen and oxygen are two important elements which you will find everywhere in all organic nutrients. And plus, you will find carbon in inorganic nutrients. So, what are inorganic nutrients? Minerals are inorganic nutrients, while organic nutrients are carbohydrate, fat, proteins, and vitamins. Okay, please remember that you'll find hydrogen and oxygen in all organic nutrients, and carbon is only seen in inorganic nutrients like minerals. Okay, we're clear. Please, the ones who are online, I'm not sure who is online, who is offline. I think at last I saw it was just two students.
Same here.
Yeah, great. So if you have some questions, I'm really happy to answer. If you don't have questions, you can ask me later after we end our presentation. Okay. So we have two types of nutrients regarding their essentiality. So the non-essential nutrients are the nutrients which are the nutrients that body needs, but we are able to manufacture them in liver. And essential nutrients are the nutrients which cannot be manufactured by liver. For example, proteins. So protein is the nutrient which we have to intake with the help of food. It will never be metabolized and synthesized in the liver. While carbohydrate and fats can be metabolized and synthesized in the liver. So that would be non-essential nutrients. So I'm repeating, protein would be essential nutrient, while non-essential nutrient is carbohydrate and fat, because they are really important. Of course they are, but we can manufacture them ourselves with the help of liver. So this we have already more or less discussed that there are three types of nutrients regarding their size and regarding ability to produce energy. The micronutrients would be the ones who are really little in size, and they actually do not give us energy, while, as I already said, and but I will repeat, macronutrients are bigger in size, and yes, they can give us energy. Of course, I'll talk about vitamins and the minerals and about proteins when we have separate presentation. But let me be clear with you right now that we have 13 different types of vitamins, so A, B, C, D, E, K, so on, and you have six, seven different types of B vitamins, and some of them are water soluble while others are fat soluble. Okay, please remember that vitamins are organic molecules, which means that they have what? Hydrogen and oxygen, but they do not really contain carbon. Um, so minerals would be so those are minerals which I already told you they are inorganic, which means that they contain carbon, and plus, of course, they contain oxygen and hydrogen. Are they nutrients? Of course they are, but not all of them. The minerals which are toxic ones, of course, they cannot be nutrients, like plumbum, for example, right? So it is, yes, mineral, but it is not nutrient. But what about iodine? It is nutrient because we find it in different food, right? So seafood, for example. Water would be the most important solvent. Without water, I think there is no single biochemical reaction which can be done without, which can be yeah, just done without the water molecule. So water molecule is essential nutrient, and it participates in probably all life processes, as this slide tells you. Okay. So I'm sure you know what the calorie is, but let me be clear one more time that calorie is a unit of the energy, and 1 calorie is the amount of heat necessary to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of of water 1 Celsius. Uh-huh. So um, if I ask you what the calorie is, you can just tell me it is unit of the energy. That will be the very enough. Okay, and please remember that we need carbs, fats, and proteins to yield energy. So do you think that water also gives us energy? What do you think about this?
Please come again. What was your
So
question?
do you think that water can also provide us with energy or not really?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So it actually it should, but indeed it does not really provide us with energy. Yes, when we drink water, we kind of are freshed up, but unfortunately, water cannot really give us kilocalorie. I mean energy, but carbs, proteins, fat, and alcohol can. And did you know that, for example, fat is the biggest energy giver for us? 1 gram of fat can give us 9 kilocalories, while 1 gram of carb can give us just 4 kilocalories. 1 gram of alcohol can give us 7 kilocalories. So personally, when I was like student and I had this class, nutrition endocrinology, I didn't know that that was fat, which was the biggest energy yielder. I always thought it was carb, but no, indeed it's fat. Um, Please help me with defining the word metabolism. So, what do you think metabolism is? What do you think about this word? Have you heard of this word? I think you probably should have.
Yes,
Mhm.
chemical reaction, I think.
Chemical reaction. Yeah, kind of. So I would say yes, it's chemical reaction, which means The Let's say really briefly that metabolism is exchange of nutrients between us and environment. Everything what happens in our body is based on metabolism, biochemical reaction, catabolism, anabolism. Everything is metabolism. Like, again, I'm repeating, it would be exchanging of nutrients between us and environment. That is metabolism. And of course, metabolism helps us to get energy. We need metabolism to make, for example, 1 gram of fat to give us kilocalorie. But unfortunately, energy is not stored always, forever. Energy may escape as heat really, really, for example, when we work out or we do some physical activity. Yeah. So in that case, the energy just escapes rapidly. Energy also help us to move the body and build new compounds. And also, it can be excreted as waste materials, like during urination, for example. So, are those medical terms familiar to you? Anabolism, catabolism.
Yes.
Yes, great. So, probably you know that anabolism is the reaction when the small molecules are put together to build one larger one. For example, little fatty acids are collected together to create triglyceride, which is fat. Yeah, and amino acid, they are combined into each other, collected in order to create 1 gram of, let's say, protein. That is anabolism. While catabolism will be opposite reaction, when the large molecules are broken into the smaller ones. Again, when, for example, cholesterol is broken into fatty acids. Yeah, that would be catabolism. And catabolism is the one which actually gives us energy. Okay. So those are units, little units. So for example, carbohydrates unit will be glucose, fats unit will be glycerol and fatty acid, while the proteins are built up with amino acids. Okay. So this is really important. Please pay attention to this. Those are the little small units which compose the bigger molecule. Like amino acids, as I said, compose one big protein. Um, so I would say that general knowledge about nutrition is very important, very important. But it's not a theory. Yeah, we have to kind of use it in our practice. So I told you that I have a lot of patients with obesity, with diabetes, with anorexia, kind of anorexia, with weight loss. And I cannot really write out the plan, nutrition plan, instantly they come into my room. Yeah. So first I have to collect anamnesis. Then I have to, make the physical examination and lab tests. And after that, after I receive the results, I'll be ready to write out the nutritional plan. Okay? So probably when you will be professional doctors working in rehabilitology, you will also have this kind of practice. So I'm not sure which field exactly you will be working, but as we said, there are a lot of patients who suffer from weight loss or weight gain after some accidents in their life. Yeah, then they treat themselves in rehabilitation centers, and yes, they undergo different physical activities there. Plus you as the doctor rehabilitologist have to know how to write out the nutritional plan for them. When the patient comes in, of course, first of all, we have to find out, evaluate their health status by asking different questions about their complaints, right? About their medical anamnesis, about family history. Of course, we have to consider social history, also drug use. How we have to ask a lot of questions, how they nutrite themselves. What is anthropometric data? Anthropometric data is based on height, weight, gender, and age. Okay, so There is one formula, BMI. Probably you have heard of this formula. BMI. Have you heard of this before? So this is special formula which needs height and weight. So when the patient, when I want to evaluate the height and weight, it's not really enough to just measure height and weight. I have to also use BMI, which is body mass index, and there is special formula which lets me evaluate about the patient's anthropometric status. What about the physical examination? It is really hard to assess the patient's nutritional status by just inspecting him. Yeah, but you have to still pay attention to the hair, eyes, skin, tongue, posture, and fingernails, because those all can really make you think that maybe the patient has poor nutrition. So, for example, when you see that hair quality is not good, the skin texture is not good, elasticity of the skin is not good. So when you ask the patient to just stick out the tongue, and when you see that he cannot do that, you have to think that maybe he has nutritional deficiency. Yeah. So you have different nutritional deficiency here. Primary deficiency would be the one caused by inadequate dietary intake, while the a secondary deficiency would be caused by the of let's say by the some other factors rather than diet. For example, the patient can eat quite normally, but his stomach cannot absorb enough nutrients. Maybe he has some gastritis or ulcer or something, and that's why he cannot really absorb the nutrient. Okay, so we have two types again: primary and secondary nutritional deficiencies. Okay, now we actually go to the very last part of our first lecture today. So I told you that we do physical exam, we do what? History anamnesis, we ask different questions about complaints, but at last we do lab tests, yeah? We do lab tests regarding this regarding the following important um, tests. That would be glucose test, insulin, lipid, proteins, right? Liver test, sometimes renal function as well, sometimes, not always, and hormones. So TSH, right? The insulin itself. We can also assess leptin. Probably you have heard of this hormone. Do you know what the leptin is?
No.
And okay, so leptin would be hormone for appetite. Okay, so it suppresses appetite. If the patient has too much leptin, probably he has problem with controlling his appetite. Sometimes we can measure this hormone as well. So okay, and the last part of our presentation today is general recommendation. Of course, I'll be talking about general recommendations during this whole 3 months. I promise we'll talk quite a lot. Uh, and You see, this is a pyramid, right? So which means that we have to eat cereals and starch most quantities. Then it's fruit and vegetables. Then we have proteins, milk and dairy products, and fish, egg, meat. And at last, you see, we have fat and oils. So some patients and some students like you ask me, like, mm, should we just not eat chocolates at all? And my answer is that no, of course you have to eat chocolates and even junk food. It's really weird to say, but you have to eat junk food as well, once or twice a month, in order to make your nutritional system be alert. So if we always eat healthy nutrients, probably at last our nutritional status will get dull and bored, which means that our metabolism will also just go down. That's why you have to sometimes, make some cheatings, and once or twice a month you can even eat hamburgers or whatever. This does not mean that I recommend you to do that frequently. Oh no, but you have to do it sometimes at least. Okay. So just a second. This is recommended dietary allowance, which we call RDA, and there is RDA for all nutrients. So, for example, it is said that we have to take just 30 grams of iron per day, not more, which means that my RDA for iron would be 30 grams, not more. The calcium RDA would be recommended dietary allowance for calcium. This mineral would be 800 milligrams per day, not more. So you understand, yeah? We should not exceed RDA. We should not eat too much B vitamin or vitamin A enriched products. That can be harmful. Okay, so we have to make some limitations. That's why we need RDA. By the way, there is interesting fact that there is no specific RDA for carbohydrates and fats. What about the protein RDA? Protein RDA is based on body weight. Yeah. So, and what about the general nutritional RDA? So, how much should I eat? So, for example, I'm 60 kilogram young lady, right? Um, Healthy young lady. So, for me, 2,700, 2,900 kilocalories are okay. But of course, the RDA for dietary allowance is different in regarding age and regarding gender. There is no RDA in fiber, which means that more fiber you eat, better for you. So there is no limits, okay, in fibers. There are huge limits in vitamins. If you intake too much vitamin D, you will have toxic effects, and probably the patient can even die because of too much fat soluble vitamins. So be really really attentive towards intaking vitamins. So, do you think that there is RDA for water? What do you think about this? Should we drink as much water as we want, or there should be limitations here as well?
I think we can take
You think
as
you
we
can
want.
take?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think
So,
so. About water, we have to have limits because there is some
uh-huh,
situation when some people took a lot of water and they
uh-huh.
got in bad situations. I remember that. So yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you. There should be RDA for water. So maybe it sounds that water is the most crucial nutrient for us, and some people think that more they drink, healthier they are. But no, of course, it's not true. If you drink more than 3 liters per day, you will have polyuria, right? So your urination status will also grow, which means that you will lose what? Minerals like potassium, and you will have heart palpitations. So really pay attention to amount of water you drink. For men, it should be maximum 2 liters and half. For us females, it should be about 1 liter 600 milliliters per day. So this is RDA for water. Okay. But if you work out in gyms, or you return home after jogging and running, yes, you can drink your water, but please try to be attentive and careful with not drinking too much water. And yes, using RDAs will be beneficial for us regarding daily intakes, regarding different things. So if we want to stay healthy and just keep healthy diet, healthy lifestyle, you have to consider RDAs always. Okay. Yeah, so actually, I'll be talking about fats, proteins, and fats, proteins, and carbs after 1, 2 lectures. But let me be clear here for you that just the most important key recommendation about fat would be that we have to consume less than 10% of calories from saturated fat. So it's really, really tiny quantity we have to use. And we have to consume less than 300 milligrams per day of cholesterol. Yeah. So, which means that yes, you have to use cholesterol, but you have to use it in really small quantities, 300 milligrams. So, RDA for cholesterol is what? 300 milligrams. Okay. And total fat intake during the daytime should be about 20 to 35% of calories. Okay, just that. About the carbs, so it depends on which carbs we are talking about. So I told you that fibers are the healthiest carbs ever, and there is no even limitations. You can eat as much as you want. But what about the other types of carbohydrates? You have to be really, really attentive not to eat too much simple sugar, which is found in bread, in rice, in different pastries like khachapuri in Georgian cuisine. Of course, I'm sure that you have this type of pastry in your country. So, of course, you know you have to be really attentive. You don't have to use too much carbs unless you want to have weight gain, of course. Um, Sodium, so RDA for sodium would be just 2000 milligrams, which is approximately 1 tablespoon of salt. So you have to prepare foods with little salt, okay? So that will be good. Alcoholic beverages. So again, I'll be talking about alcohol later, I promise. But there is huge and important RDA in regarding alcoholic beverage. For you males, it is 2 drinks per day. For us females, it's just 1 drink per day. Okay. So me personally, I can drink just one glass of red wine, not more. If I want to stay healthy, for of course. And alcohol should not be consumed by lactating, pregnant women, children. So I'm sure you know that. And last but not least, sorry, this okay. The last but not least would be the information about food safety. Okay, so right now we have this coronavirus outbreak, and probably we have to be double time attentive in order to avoid some food contamination, right? So, first of all, I'm sure you are adults and you know fairly enough that you have to clean hands, but let me repeat it one more time. And right now, we have to clean all the food we eat, especially during viral outbreak. Yeah. So, by the way, did you know that poultry and meat should not be washed or rinsed? So, did you know that you should not wash meat?
No.
No, well, you will know it from now. So, because it may contain some bacteria, and if you rinse it, you will contaminate the kitchen. So, the experts tell us that still we're gonna cook the meat, and all the bacteria will be killed. So, it's rather not to rinse it. We have to separate cooked and raw and ready to eat foods in different packages while shopping. And we have to refrigerate perishable food and defrost foods properly. Okay, and we have to avoid raw milk, which is unpasteurized milk, but it's okay to drink pasteurized milk. And personally, I always wash eggs, and because this is really important as well. Please avoid unpasteurized milk products. Please also avoid partially cooked eggs. Okay, everything which is unpasteurized or uncooked, please avoid them. And the last recommendation, last recommendation about the healthy lifestyle. So we talked about what we should do, yeah, that we have to keep RDAs, recommended dietary allowances. We have to avoid contaminated food and keep the food safe. And the healthy lifestyle is not just healthy nutrition, but it's also physical activity, right? So, in order to reduce chronic diseases in adulthood, we have to engage ourselves physically 30 minutes 3 times per week. If we want to have the weight loss, we have to do 60 minutes, maybe 2 or 3 times. Okay, let it be 3 times better per week. And if we want to maintain, I mean, sustain the weight loss, in adulthood, better to be physically engaged at least 90 minutes 3 times per week. So this is just general recommendation about physical activity. Okay, so that was general, I would say, first lecture about general introduction to nutrition as the science, and we will talk about each of these topics: fats, vitamins, minerals, nutrition during different diseases during those 15 weeks, already 14 weeks, because now is the first one. Now I'm listening to possible questions you may have about this topic.
Okay, my first question is if we get to meet again at the university, this course is it a practical course or more of theories?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Can you repeat it one more
I
time?
said if we have to meet again at the university, so I mean this program is it a practical one or more of theory?
It is more theory. It is more theory.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Mhm.
okay.
So I think it was just Joseph when I was explaining. I will tell you just one thing, that we'll meet each other each Friday at 6 p.m. And please read the material. I will always upload my presentation in our folder. You can, or I can even upload it in our Google Meet. I will see which one is possible. I think maybe by mails it will be better. And please read the PPT and my PowerPoint slides, and I'll be asking you some questions. Okay, so I want our seminar not to be just monologue, like my talking, only. So I want also you to be somehow involved in seminar. So I know that Joseph is from Nigeria. What about Edison? You are from Nigeria as well? Edison. Yeah,
Yes, Nigerian.
Nigeria. What about Abd? Yeah, Abd is your first name, or
Yeah, Abed. I'm from Israel.
Israel? Okay. So I will think about how to make the seminars more interesting, because last time I asked the group, the my students in nutrition study, to make the presentation about their own country's cuisine. Yeah. So we can make the same here as well to make it more interesting, right, and dynamic. So I don't want our seminars to be boring. Again, I don't want me to be talking all the time. Yeah. So that's why I will think about this. We have just 1 hour, so not that much. Okay. Some questions to me which you would
Yeah.
love to ask.
So, Miss, what about the presentation? Do we get to get them like at our drives,
I
Google
will,
Drive?
yeah, I will upload it there. Yeah, in Drive,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
and you will read it then. Okay. Some other questions, or we are good?
I have a
Okay.
question. Yeah, you said we shouldn't wash meats, right?
We should
Because of the bacteria.
not.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question.
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
Yeah,
I was really surprised when I saw this recommendation, at first, that we should not. But then I asked my colleague, that why should not I rinse meat until I cook it? And she told me that because while you rinse your meat in, for example, kitchen sink, you can contaminate kitchen sink with bacteria. And that's why it's better not to wash it and directly put it in this meat in your pan or oven or wherever, because the bacteria still will be killed during heating.
because of the heat. Yeah.
You can really avoid bacteria, just wash. The water cannot really kill bacteria, but temperature will. So that's why there is general recommendation not to wash it. So I'm not sure it's correct or not. Actually, I wash it personally, me, but maybe it's not correct thing to do, because generally they say that it's not recommended.
What
Okay.
if you rinse your sink? What if you wash your sink or you pour hot water on it?
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. Yeah, with special fluids. You can do like rinse your sink as well. Yeah. In this case, you can wash the meat if you want. But if you are not gonna then wash your sink and kitchen well after rinsing your meat, it can be risk. There can be risk of contamination.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, okay, for today we're done. So as I told you, we have just 1 hour, and we will meet each other at 6 p.m. I will myself give you the link on your mails. You will just press the links, and I think joining Google Meet is not quite a problem for you already. You know how to do that. So we'll meet each other next Friday.
Okay, bye. Have a
Okay,
nice
thank
weekend.
you. Bye.
What about
Yeah.
the presentation?
So as
The
I already
presentation, are you
told
going
you,
to?
I will upload the presentations in your drive.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. So bye bye.